Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have on the show an incredible singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, Annie B. Annie, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Eric.
You know, it's like, I love this new album that you've got out right now, Penthouse Prison. And you and I were talking about this to where, you know, you recorded this at Digital Images, right?
Yeah, Direct Image.
Direct Image.
Yes, and it's with Kenny Royster.
Nice.
Yeah, he's actually really good at helping with vocals because he was like a vocal teacher.
Right.
So him being an engineer and a vocal teacher, he does really well with us.
Well, you know, and you and I were talking too before we came in studio, Annie, to where, you know, you've played the Tootsie Circuit, you've played all over Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah.
But now with the new original music, you know, with Penthouse Prison, you guys are going to be out on tour with Brian Nichols.
I know.
How does that feel?
Excited. Yeah. Well, that's what you work for, so
Right.
I'm really grateful because it doesn't happen with everybody. So.
Well, and I mean,
Yeah.
Certainly you've paid your dues musically and
I
everything.
have paid my dues. I will say that. I will say that.
and all of your band has, including your
Yes,
husband Johnny.
yes,
But also, I mean, do you think the game changer was when you guys opened up for Tracy Lawrence?
Yeah. Well, I will say so let me back up with that.
Yes.
During COVID was when I wrote Penthouse Prison.
Right.
So that kind of sparked our album right there,
Yeah.
because a lot of people just love the title and what it's about, which I'll
And the
tell you.
backstory, which we got to talk
we'll get
about.
to. Yeah. And once we got that finished, then it was like, okay, we're good to go. And then we got a phone call after we decided not to play downtown anymore,
Right.
to open for Tracy Lawrence. And so I was like, okay, God, you know, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes he gives us signs that are pretty much in your face. So.
Right. Well, you know, and like you and I were talking about too, and there's so many musicians and artists and songwriters here, you know, in the Nashville area, but it's a hard decision not to play Broadway. You know,
It
particularly
really
when you
is.
and your band, you know, that's how you're making your money, you're selling your merch,
Yeah.
and certainly during the pandemic, a hard time.
Yeah. Well, and tours come here where they just, you know, they give us a lot of money because, you know, you don't have, because in Nashville it's a lot harder, you know, with just people that have been here so long because there's so many musicians.
Yeah.
So if you like say, oh, I'm not going to play for that amount of money, they're going to be like, well, I've got someone that'll pay for free. So, you know,
Right.
So you have to deal with that. But us being a really good band, we've tried
Totally.
really hard to, stay with it until we left. So.
Well, and I think it's paid off. And, you know, once again, we were talking about Penthouse Prison, and there's so many great tracks on here. But, you know, it's like I said, musically, you know, there's rock, there's country, but also the bluesy sound of Love Me Just a Little, one of my favorites.
It's like I said, it's my dad's favorite.
Oh, there you go.
And that song, I would back up. My voice is actually catered for lower, bluesier songs.
Right.
So I have a good range, but when I'm in that, you know, it's so.
It sounds very comfortable.
Yeah, it's very comfortable, and it's hard to find because everybody wants to sing super high all the time, you know. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit lower here and let it resonate or whatever.
Well, especially with the Annie B band, you've got so many talented musicians, and we were talking about kind of the backstory of Penthouse Prison.
Yes.
You've got to tell viewers about this, on how this whole story came about, because, you know, so much of this album, I was telling you before we came, you know, into the studio, feels autobiographical, but Penthouse Prison kind of happened from a meeting with a young lady downtown.
It did. How'd you know? Well, okay, I guess through the song.
Back.
Okay, so how that started or came about, I was downtown. I was actually working at Opryland at the time and doing catering. So I was down there at the Ryman working. I came out of the Ryman during work, actually. I left work. And there was this girl that was completely wasted. And she was literally crawling on the floor. She's a gorgeous girl. And you could tell she was really wealthy. And I was like, I have to help this girl. I told her, okay, I'll walk you home. And so we walked, you know, and she stumbled a little bit. And we got to her house, and it was the penthouse of the whole place. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So we go inside, and she's like, come sit with me outside or whatever. And I was like, oh, your house is so pretty. And she had married a man with a ton of money. And so she said to me, it doesn't seem, it's not what it is. It's not as it seems, is what she told me. She said, living with a man who doesn't talk to you or doesn't treat you well, but he has money, it's hard to leave because the money's gone.
Right.
So she's got to, if she left him, she would have to find a job. But if she stayed, she'd have the money. So anyway, it's about how hard it is to get away from that with women that deal with, Yeah,
and I think that's what's so incredible about the song. And also your voice sounds so good on all of these songs.
Thanks, Eric.
But I was going to bring up too, coming out of Quincy, Illinois originally, and singing at 6 years old, your grandma played piano.
Yes.
So it's like, at 6 you knew, this was it, doing music.
I did. And I didn't have anybody in the family to help me.
Right.
So I would sing in my mirror with a hairbrush. And at first I was really bad. And my brother would want to beat me up, stop singing. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop singing. And then I eventually got better and better. And then when I came here, I actually got voice lessons with Judy Rodman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Judy Rodman, she's amazing.
She's great.
And so she changed my world. Mm-hmm. And so I was so grateful that I got to see her. And so that's kind of what started with,
and once again, moving here to Nashville, and then like we talked about, paying your dues, playing downtown, but also it seems like the journey has brought you to a good place, and you're already working on new songs for the next album as well, besides this big tour this year. So it seems like things are taking off, Annie.
I hope so. I try really hard, and I try not to get my hopes up too much because it's hard. And there's so many good musicians, but I feel like we played our dues in that my band is so good.
Right.
Like I don't deserve them, honestly.
And so you didn't use studio musicians on this record then, did
we
you?
did use a couple.
A couple, and then the rest was your band?
Yes.
From the Annie B band?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
And then also I was going to bring up, besides the album being out and obviously CDs available at your shows and on your website, but there's more music videos coming out.
Yes.
And more singles releasing from this also.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we actually, we dropped Let It Rain is a song
Great
that
song.
I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. It's more of a Christian song, which is good. So we didn't know, when we started, we didn't know if we should go the Christian route or, just the regular, route. How do you say that? But I wanted to help people outside of the Christian, so that people that are struggling and they don't know God and everything like that. Like that's where I wanted to sing. And I feel like in country music, it's still got a lot of Christianity in it. So I felt like we could do that. So we have a lot of Christianity in our song,
Right. Well, and also you've been very open about your journey too and how it's brought you to today in a positive way.
Yeah.
And now taking care of your voice and writing songs on your Taylor guitar.
Yes. I love my Taylor.
And then, and also playing flute and everything else too. It's like, good gosh.
I never thought of playing flute. My guitar player was like, "You play flute?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You should play it in the band." And I'm like, "Really? That would be weird, wouldn't it?"
I think it's great. It's another sound texture.
Well, I'll tell you, people go crazy over it.
Right.
Because it's different.
You don't see that many flute players, flautists, I think they say,
Yes, it is.
out on tour. And so now you're going to have to take multiple instruments with you, besides your Fender Acoustasonic also.
Yes.
So you're going to have like all these instruments to go on the road with you.
Yeah. Grateful to my mom for sending me lessons to play the flute when I was growing up.
And now it
and
pays
I didn't
off.
want to.
Right. Yeah, but think of all the songs. And in fact, it was so neat because when I was listening to the album, I didn't know that was you playing flute on there.
Yeah, it is.
I thought, well, obviously they hired somebody.
No way,
like,
that's me, Eric.
That's amazing. Well, and I know with the big Brian Nichols tour and everything else you've got going on and more shows, throughout the U.S., I want to make sure for our viewers that they know where to go website-wise, social media. You're going to have cool merch and everything.
Yes, it's all on our website.
Where do they need to go?
Okay, so it's www. Oh, why is that hard to say? theannieband.com. So wherever you look for social media, just make sure you put because it's the Annie B Band. And Facebook is the same, and Instagram, it's all the Annie B Band. So you can go to that, and we'd love to have you follow us and be friends with us, and you can follow us on our journey. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, the music's so good, so many great songs on here, and with the music videos coming out and the singles, and I just think it's going to catch fire. I can't believe you're already working on the next album. And so, you're telling me that this is even going to be more autobiographical.
Yes, I just want to get really personal with everyone because I feel like being honest about yourself is when they connect.
I agree.
You know, so.
And I think your fans.
And I've been hesitant about
You've got
that,
a huge, huge fan base too in the heartland of America.
Yes, Midwest.
So now you're going to be growing this even more.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, so all of so when you're out on the road, I got to ask you too. Then, do you still take time to swim?
I don't. I'm telling you.
Come on, you did it for years.
I know.
Professional swimmer.
Yes, I started when I was 6, actually, then too. And in high school, I actually quit it just to sing a solo song. It was Bette Midler from a distance in a show.
Right.
And it was either I was going to do swimming or sing. And so I'm like, okay, I'm giving it up because and then right when I sang that song, I was like, oh gosh, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's
But
awesome.
also, I mean, think about the lung power and the breathing technique for swimming, which many of those things are applied to singing as well. You know, and I got to bring this up too. The a cappella, the Star Spangled Banner on here, ridiculous.
Do you like it?
Love it.
That's actually my husband.
Wow.
So he came from Church of Christ.
Yeah.
And they only sing harmonies. They don't have instruments. So that's
That was
what he
like,
learned.
I was listening along, and all of a sudden I hit that track. I'm like going, wait a minute.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, he's amazing.
That's
amazing.
incredible. Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, however you consume music, whether, you know, through digital or however, go to the Annie B Band website. Be sure and get a copy of this if you enjoy CDs. I think it should be on vinyl. Hopefully the next album will be.
Yes.
But go see them live. They're going to be out on the road with Brian Nichols. And I think they're going to be headlining shows, I think, also within the next year or so. So look for that. Follow them on social media. Annie B, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Aw, thank you, Eric.
And congrats on this great new album.
Thank you.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.